Got the camera in a snug little spot today. Hopefully it stays still. How are we all today anyway while I set this up? Alright, let's give this a go. Okay. I think that's got all of me. That'll do. There's not much of me. Alright. One to go. Don't worry, that wasn't a corona cough. It's all good. Just got one more lawn to go. Just on some wet grass at the moment, getting the trailer off that. Looking forward to getting the four-wheel drive soon. So we've I'm going to turn this aircon down, hopefully that's not too loud. Wanted to touch on, since I've had this ride on, the first week I had it, I don't think I've done it justice with what I said it saved me, which was at the time about an hour a day. It's probably an hour and a half to 2 hours is more closer to the mark. Especially now I'm more confident with the different controls, with the trim, tow and mow settings. I'm typically just straight onto the mow now where it's quicker. Hopefully this doesn't rattle too much too, sorry for that. Got to get a GoPro as well. And yeah, I just wanted to make mention of that and say it's closer to 2 hours plus all the saving of energy that you get at the end of the day. Definitely a great deal more once I'm home. My legs aren't burning, even your arms and your shoulders, because it might be a self-propelled mower, but you can't just go around and round in a circle pushing it. You've got to back it up, and everyone knows when you're in this game what I'm talking about. So when you weigh all these little positives up, there might be slight negatives where it's slightly too large for certain yards, or there's too much of a hill or an incline where it's not quite powerful enough. But all in all, it's still 90% of my properties is what this is getting used for now, especially at the size it is, the 32 inches. There isn't many back gates that it won't fit in. So I'm real happy with the investment, obviously. If I'd known about the coronavirus and everything else, the way it's going, well, touch wood, my industry's still okay. But if it does get affected, then I probably wouldn't have bought the trailer and the ride-on and all the other little bits and bobs that come with it. But you can't hold yourself back based on risk. Everything's a risk in this game, in this industry, when you're trying to get ahead and trying to become as profitable and as efficient as possible, like I've spoken about before. And yeah, all in all, yeah, I probably wouldn't take it back. It's been the best thing I could have done. I was saying to my wife after the first couple of weeks where I didn't have the extra pair of hands helping me, and the amount of lawns I had to do in a day, and I had to do that with a push mower, albeit a Time Master, which was taking up more room than the average push mower. It's a hard slog at the end of the day. 10 to 12 lawns is what I'm aiming for, and I had to settle for 10 with the push mower, and even with that I was stuffed by the time I got home. So if I had to keep doing that all season long, 9 months of the year, I wouldn't have been lasting in this game any longer than 10 years, and my goal is to stay in this until I retire. Obviously gain a few people to give me an extra pair of hands and a helping hand, and it also employ a young keen worker or someone that is keen and loves doing what I do. So that's down the track. I don't know what else I really wanted to touch on, besides I am trying to get more footage. It's just same deal. I think I'm going to have to get the GoPro and things like that, just make it a bit more convenient, a bit easier to use. By the time you set this thing up on a tripod, and can't mount it to things without the shakes happening, so I'll look into all that to try and get the video footage out. There's plenty I want to talk about as far as getting the right clientele for your business. Everyone's spoken about this before that I follow on YouTube, but I want to touch on it as well because it is very true. You want to find clients that resonate with you. You don't want to be going to ones that, for me, I don't want to get the clients that just want to slap happy job, just want to get it mowed down as quick as possible, don't even want to blow down, they just want it cheap. cheap service, cheap as possible is what they're after, and that's not me. So with my business plan and with what I want to achieve every single week, which I can touch on now, I'm getting a few more subscribers, and people obviously follow me on Facebook and click on this, and it's 3,000 to 3,500 a week gross figures is what I'm aiming for. Now, to achieve that with lawns, that means you're working bloody hard, but it's definitely well and truly achievable. It's not unthinkable. Once you really break it down, you go, all right, let's just say you could do an average lawn. They've changed now, but let's just do it for argument's sake. $50 a lawn, 10 lawns a day, that's $500. But now obviously I've got GST I've got to add, it's $55 a lawn for them average lawns. But everyone else, like I've got 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 plus, 200 plus type lawns. So when you add all that up, you start doing the figures, it doesn't take long to get to that target. And it might seem like a lot of money, but when you've got to pay insurances for all your gear, for your trailer, for your car, if you get another worker, you've got to pay their wage, you've got GST to put aside, so you're paying that every 3 months, and then you've got tax to put aside that you're paying yearly. And on top of all that, you want to be putting away super, your RDOs, as if you're working for someone else. I used to get RDOs, so I'm including all of this stuff. Your holidays, obviously, I want 4 weeks a year. So once you add all that up, and you've got to make them figures, you've got to see what works for you and your family, with my overheads and with what I want to achieve and where we want to be in 5 years' time, where we want to be in 2 years' time. It all needs to start getting the ball rolling now. And I've spoken about it before, but when I first started, the figures and the day rates and everything I was providing, because I didn't have to worry about GST at that time, and I could foresee that I was going to stay under the $75,000 in Australia. That's what you have to stay under to not have to claim GST. I was going to do that and made sure I would do that. I just took time off and worked around it and made people sort of wait for winter time and things like that if I had to. Now I don't have to. I'm just taking on everyone as much as I can. And then after doing these latest figures, it's freed me up on a Friday. I'll have 4 massive days and then half a day of massive lawns to do, and then I've got the afternoons free, which is for my rentals, strata, odd jobs where people need hedge trimming done, etc, etc, etc. You can go into it. We'll get into all that on future videos, but it's good. It's just starting to get the bigger pictures all there now. The total figures at the end of each year will be what I'm aiming for, 150,000 plus, and then that's just minimum. So obviously during winter I need to pick up work where I don't have my lawns every fortnight to draw on. I've only got them every month. So in future, so next year, because this year's pretty much sorted as I've told you, and every year it seems to just work out that way. It's more, as long as you're willing and you're able, if you can paint, if you can do deck restorations, if you can do all this other stuff, so rain, hail or shine, you've still got work. So when it is raining, torrential rain for a week or 2 weeks sometimes, you've got work to draw on at all times. And the people that are after that work, they're happy because you get to them sooner. Everyone else, they know you can't get there anyway because it's raining. So there's just plenty of things to consider when you're getting this set up as a business. I wanted to make this video to touch on that for someone starting out, someone who might have been going for the last 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever it might be. They might need that extra little handy hints that come along with it. And you've got to look into it too. Like NDIS clients for me are a good one as well in Australia. It's a government-based thing. They give you a capped price, unfortunately, because it's well below my hourly rate is now, but they're a regular service, in which case you're there all the time, guaranteed. They need the work full time, so when it's raining, you're always there. It's you can always find something to do, and it's about helping everyone out, and especially in the times like it is now, getting to everyone. And the phone still hasn't stopped, the Facebook Messenger still hasn't stopped. It's hasn't slowed people down asking for services, especially when it is a solo operator going out to a property, a residential or acreage, doesn't matter, commercial. It's only me. So whatever I have hand sanitizer, If required, I'll wear the face mask, and that's typically only if the people are around and there's people near me, because when you're outside in the sun's killing this disease anyway, so whatever gets expelled is gone. So it's only if you're touching things where you make mention, clients have to hand sanitize, go out with a Glen 20, just spray the gates and things like that. I can go ahead and do it, but a lot of the time if I'm there early morning, there's dew around and things like that, so there's already water there. As soon as that evaporates, it takes all the virus with it, and it's up to them if they want to spray all their gates. I just pretty much look after going from the gate, hand sanitising myself, and getting back in the car, everything's clean. With the snipper, the blower, the mower, you can spray that with Glen 20 if you really wanted to go to the extreme, and it's getting to that stage now, so it's just worth thinking about all these things that you can do to help the current situation. So, but as far as the payments go and the figures and what you want to be charging, that's on you as far as what you want to achieve. For me and my business, if I don't want my wife to work, she doesn't have to, but if she wants to, it's completely up to her, and that's fine. She can go for it. Everything's a bonus then. So looking forward to the future, and it looks like she's heading that way again, which is great. She's got a few things in the works, and they haven't stopped since we moved up here. But I think now just narrowing the focus a bit, getting a bit more time once my young bloke goes back to preschool, things like that. It just opens up the door for all these other little hobbies that my wife has, but also the lucrative hobbies too, like handmade products, website design, virtual assistant work. Airborne is a big one. It's taken off in the UK and the US. I'm guessing it's slowed down a little bit with this corona, but no doubt it'll go gangbusters again once we get it all up and running. Once the world gets back up and running. We've just got to do the best we can with what we have. So there's plenty to do. For me at the moment, nothing's really changed. I've had a few clients where they're at home and they're happy to look after it, and then I've had their wives ring and say, no, please come back. I don't want him touching the lawn after you've had it looking so nice, which is a nice compliment, but at the same time I agree, because it's taken a while to get there for some lawns, and we had drought, and now we're there. I really don't want it cut too short to affect the lush green growth that we're going to have over winter, and that's the goal, to keep lush green lawn all throughout winter without looking untidy, because I'm only there once a month, so I'm just going to be literally taking the top off it, and pretty much now I'm beginning to, which is another tip, just if you wanted to listen to this one, if you're going to listen to anything in the video, look at your lawns and gauge each one on their own merit. So if one needs raising, 1 notch or 2 notches, just look at it. You can see when they're struggling, if we're going without rain, if it's got bugs in it, army grub, mole crickets, lawn beetle, whatever it might be, they could go on there themselves and park their car there and it could hurt it. So you just got to look at it and see, all right, that section of lawn, we can raise it a couple of notches there, we need that to bounce back again, need it a bit more healthy for the next visit. And then the next visit you can take it to what the height thereafter, but a lot of the time when I have explained it to people, if you cut too short now, especially as the temperatures are dropping, we've got maybe a week and a half left, 2 weeks, 3 weeks if we're pushing it, where the temperatures are still going to be high enough for the lawn to be growing. But anything under that 15 degrees that I've spoken about, especially around here, everything starts dying down, slowing right down. So I account for all of this. I'll raise it if I need to, leading into winter, just to make sure we keep that nice looking lawn, because pretty much all my competition, they miss out on a few months because they've cut too short for too long, they bag, they don't mulch, so they're losing nutrients left, right and centre, and then it comes to winter and they've got no work, and pretty much all they do is lawns, and then they wonder why I'm still flat out all through winter. And I explain, it's not just lawns, but at the same time I keep them lawns and they're still monthly, so by the time you look at it, it's really not that hard to start filling your diary. It honestly didn't take long when I first started the business. We're a few weeks in, it started to become like 2 to 3 weeks booked out. Then it just went from sort of that figure to a month to 2 months. I just started working it in a way where I had figures I wanted to achieve. Once I achieved that, I left time to go quote, and then that was another thing. I stopped quoting. I stopped driving to places to quote. I started using Google Maps for lawn prices and things like that to quote the lawn. If the Google map didn't work, you just Google the property. You can get backyard images. There's so much you could actually find online these days. There is software that you can get that actually measures square meterage, square footage if you're in America, but you can measure acreages and things like that. So if you're going off an acreage rate for your lawns, it's perfect. You can download the software and measure out your lawn without actually going to the property itself. You got to look at it because there are options on terrain. You can go to satellite view, but if you go to the terrain option, you can see it actually gives you the boundary of the property, and it's bloody amazing what you can do and how much time is saved compared to what it used to be. A lot of people, when I first started, oh, you must be driving everywhere, like all the quotes you got to do, and at first, not knowing what I was doing, obviously new to business, and just wanted to get the face-to-face value as well in the community. It was the main driving force for doing quotes in person, but especially now with this corona, you need to start looking at these other online avenues. So anything that can make your life a bit easier, a bit quicker, more efficient, and you get a bit more money at the end of the day, so be it. You've got to start looking at what you need to achieve for you and your family, or if you haven't got a family yet, if you're just setting everything up, just look at what you need, and don't feel like you have to compromise. Obviously at the beginning you feel like you have to because you don't want to lose clients, and I had clients when I first started and I was doing it for ridiculous, like it's gone up 3 times just about since I very first started for a majority of my work, and that's massive. But when I first started and on the figures I was more fair, and people would still haggle, and you can't drop your guard, you can't let your value diminish because you know what you're worth. And at the time I had enough work coming in that I was pretty much confident enough from the start to say, no, this is what I'm worth, this is what I'm charging. If that's no good, then we'll just move on. People still get in contact now all the time, and I float the figures out there because they're the new figures, and I've got existing clients that have gone up in rates because I've had to account for GST and everything else, and the fact is my hourly rate has gone up, so I need to start looking at all of that for all of my clients. But for you guys, I want to explain it a little bit better, and I'll go into detail in future videos. But if you like this video, please give it a big like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll get the word out there. I'll start letting all these little hints and like I said before, they're not secrets, but they're how I'm running my business in a way and what I need to achieve. So when I've got my lawn days and I'm going $500 to $600 for a lawn day, then these days now I've got to look at acreages, and I've got to go, well, if I'm there for a whole day, regardless if it's regular or not, I need to be getting close to that figure. Now, you obviously look at it, well, I look at it as it's going to be a regular thing, and it's a big chunk of money. Like, I look at it, when I first started, what would I be able to afford? And when I started the business and wasn't earning what I'm earning now, I thought, well, there's not a great deal I could afford a month, like other than what we're doing now. And then you start looking and put yourself in other people's shoes. But the problem is, big businesses, companies, solo entrepreneurs, whatever they are, they're not worried about everyone else to the extent where they worry about what they've got to afford each month, or what they themselves have to afford each month, because that's not the point. The point is, people out there have a lot more money than I do, and if they can't do it, and you're providing a service, and you believe you're worth that much money, then you charge that much. Simple as that. If it's your business, you can charge what you like, but at the end of the day, you charge too high, you're not going to win work. You charge too low, you're going to be worn out, buggered, and that enjoyment that you once had would diminish really quickly. And it's about keeping up as much motivation day in, day out, because even with it is the way it is now, there are days where you get up and you're like, oh, I've got 10 to 12 lawns ahead of me, like, and I'm buggered today. Like this morning was that feeling. You get out, you get that first lawn done, and you're into it. You don't have that doubt again, or you don't have that lack of motivation. It all starts to tie in, and at the end of the day, for me, it's what I'm going to get to and where I'm going to be in 10 years time and things like that. So I'm going to be fit enough to do this until I'm 50. I'm nearly 30 now. That's 20 plus years of ripping in, getting this done, getting this business set up to where I need it to be, having a couple of workers under me, and if not alongside me, and that's the goal, to have them doing what I'm doing and earning what I'm earning. It's more than achievable. I just need to find the right worker or two. Like I said before, I'm not looking to be the biggest company. That's not what me and my family are about, but at the same time, it's about getting ahead as quick as possible, and looking after people, clients included obviously. But just for me, it comes down to the goals that you have and what it is going to take to reach them goals. I'll bring this up here now. Don't know how long it's been going for, but about 20 minutes usually get back in from that property. Now that's the thing too. I'll just touch on that quickly. When I first started, I had certain ones where they were a bit further out, but I needed to gain extra clientele. I needed, at the time, the extra $50, $60. Now I've kept them clients knowing they were going to move in closer to home, and it turns out they're going to be 2 or 3 streets over. Sorry, that's the wife now. I'll get back to her in a second. Wondering where I am, I'm sure. Usually home by now, see? 2:30. I'm going to fit this one in because I've got my ute booked in on the Friday. So yeah, so what I was touching on is just, you got your clients that sometimes they might be a bit out of the way, and I've still got a few where they're on property and they're on a less of a rate because they're on the NDIS. I'm going to have to talk to them about what we're going to do there, how we're going to go around it, whether it's just more hours or whatever. It's fine. While I make that trip out there, I need to look at getting these figures that I'm achieving every single week. And yeah, even on the odd week where I don't have my lawns, where that's that regular 3,000, it's still the same on them acreage weeks because I tie it in with all these other works that I've got, and hedging works and things like that, they bump it up. And when you're doing extra jobs for all your NDIS clients, property maintenance and actual property care, some houses are fully looking after it, cobwebbing, cleaning down the decks, hedging, doing the back reserves of places. Like, there's so many different avenues that I do, and including my services, that just help bump up that price to get to me to a figure that I need to be at, especially if I'm travelling. I still travel for some jobs. For a full day I travel an hour down the road, but that day when I travel down that way, I'm making sure it's well worthwhile, like close to $1,000 worthwhile. It adds up real quick, and it becomes when you're travelling that far, you're going to have to charge to account for your travel. So when you're doing that, you can still achieve the same amount of lawns you would around home, but you've had to travel an hour down the road, you still got to drive an hour back. Now I've got the trailer on, you've got extra wear and tear, you've got all these things to think about. So it might seem like, oh yeah, that's a lot of money, but when you factor in all these other stuff, the wear and tear on your car, you've got to make sure you're still coming above where you are if you were locally. And that's just the way you got to look at it. You're doing a fair service, you're doing a great service, you're providing a quality service every time. And don't let that quality lapse. That's the biggest thing you can do. Along with your price, if you're going to charge your top dollar, you make sure you deliver that top dollar service every single time. Alright, I'll leave it there. I've definitely had enough talking here. The footage I would have tagged on, I'll tag it onto the end of this now. It's showing real world speeds on the long section. I'll do the long section, I'll make the other bit a bit quicker because this video is going to be long enough. But yeah, on the long section you'll see just how fast you can actually go. And it's got paspalum in it, all these type weeds that if people in Australia know what I'm talking about. It's one of the worst weeds when you're mowing. It just wants to stand back up. As soon as you run over it, you have to do it like with a push mower, sometimes 3 times up and over before it wants to cut right down to the true height that it wants to be at. It's just a terrible bit of grass that's great for cattle and things like that, but you're going to have to look at other ways and other things you can use. So for me, it's that ride-on. It chops it up a lot quicker. Engine's going is a lot more powerful, so then the blade's going a lot more quicker than your standard little residential or commercial push mower. Alrighty, I think there's enough information in this video. Enjoy. I'll talk to you all soon. Hopefully get some footage later in the week, and I hope everyone stays safe. I hope this hasn't affected too many people in a harsh way. If you've got time off at work, or if you're able to work from home, that's great. If you've been shut down, like I know a lot of my neighbours have with cafes and stuff, I really am feeling for you guys. And like I've said to everyone, if you need anything, don't hesitate to call. And especially like for our locals, we're looking after our locals best we can, trying to order takeaway when we can, just helping businesses stay afloat if that's what they're going to provide. And you look into it, there's so many ways you can catch this thing. So it's someone's livelihood, and at the end of the day, I want to support everyone just around here. Yeah. I'm going to get this camera out of the sun now. Alright guys, I'll talk to you soon, and stay safe. Thank you. Bye.